right. A little bad religion to get us going. Good to see everybody. Project AZ, glad you're here, brother. You don't write too much. I enjoy your thought process. He says, boys and men live on fetishes. Why the fantasy of simp is a generational lie taught to us. Attaboy, managed Roy from Mumbai. That is just a stock picture in that thumbnail. We've got Gerald. I love the idea of marriage and love, but it's a fantasy. We have to live in reality 100%. Skelly time, good to see you. Trog from Canada. Mr. John Boston, the legendary John Boston. Mr. One Fast Dak, all the way up in Alberta. Good to see you, brother. Check out Dak's channel as well. Denny, Brother Rad, afternoon, morning from here in Indiana. I've been to Carmel. I've been to Lafayette, Indianapolis. Indiana is a very interesting state, but I enjoyed my time there. We know that Axl Rose is from Indiana. Good to see you, Denny. Timmy Kramer, the Forever Bachelor. I wake up a free man every single day, never to be a slave to the system. I'm at the gym. Damn, it's like how tight of clothes and hair extension can women wear? How do they work out with all that makeup when it's sweating down their face? Don't get it. What gives? Good to see you, Doc. Let's see. We've got Shaka in the chat. Good to see Shaka down the street. We've got to hook up one of these days and go to that other restaurant. Hope you are well, Mr. Shaka New Lou. Check out his channel. He's got some good stuff, guys. Very interesting thought patterns, which I appreciate. So why a man's fantasy keeps him locked in the matrix. This goes from everything, relationships to employment to education to it's this whole programming thinking that, hey, if we get a great, awesome job, let's take dentistry, for example. Most people that go into dentistry that I know, because I sold into the dental field for 6 years, a lot of them don't do it because they enjoy it. I would say very few enjoy it. Maybe they want to help people, but they see a nice living, a life of making good money, being the captain of their ship, being a small business owner, being respected in the community. But most of them don't like it. I've sold into them. They sit in little chairs. They get arthritis very quickly. They're dealing with very disgusting, the environment of the mouth, dirty teeth, disgusting, which way, you name it. That is the reality. But see, they got into that profession based on a fantasy. And a lot of them provide a great life. I've met a lot of broke dentists too. I've met a lot of terrible dentists that aren't good at their craft. And they got in it for the wrong reasons. They got in it for the fantasy. And the reality was completely different. Okay. Trog says, apart from all the drama of being a relationship, 100% of us don't miss the lack of linear logical thinking in women's heads. Even the smart ones are subject to emotional versus logic. Well said. Thanks, Dak, for putting up Shaka's channel. He's a good dude. Friend of mine, Ty left him, and now 10 years later and $50K in debt, she wants to go back with him. Yes, I yelled at him for hours. Yeah, most of the dental hygienists are 304s. That's just an example of just choosing an education. Let's talk about being a doctor. I sell into the healthcare world. I understand a lot of the we call them providers, which is not a really good term because apparently Adolf called his people that provided healthcare as providers. So now there's this huge thing. You can't even call them providers now. We'll call them doctors, physicians, those that provide healthcare. But even they go through a shit show. Just to become a doctor is extremely challenging. You do your 4-year undergrad, you go to medical school, then you specialize. If you do that, then you do your residency. You don't get sleep for 3 years. Then you get hired on with $450,000 to $500,000 in debt, and you're working to pay that off. A lot of folks go into the specialty group practices because that's where they make good money. Orthopedics, gastroenterologists, cardiologists. But if you're a little foot doctor who has a medical degree, you're not making a lot of money. But what I'm saying is this: the fantasy of being a doctor and driving that Porsche and being a respected pillar of the community takes a shit ton of time, energy, diligence, frustration, anger, you name it. Okay, my boy at one point thought about being a doctor, and we had to put it on paper. Let's look at the reality of being a doctor. Why do you want to be it? I want to help people. Great. Helping people is great, but let's look at the reality of helping people. And not only that, then you have to go to continuing education every 6 months to keep your license current. And if your license is not current, or if you prescribe a wrong protocol, a wrong medication, you can be sued to kingdom come, which is very common in the medical world. So the fantasy of being a doctor and the reality are two different things, and it keeps men making bad decisions. Now, are doctors important? Absolutely. Those that go into it because they know the reality of it, but want to help people, and the money would be a side piece, wonderful. There are men out there that do that. I know doctors that have quit. I know doctors that have quit. They were physicians, they quit, and now they sell healthcare. It's a grind. Okay, you got to have your heart into it. We are all emotional. It's just that men can control it better. Well said. The Mighty Mysterio from Winnipeg. Wolf, 304s and tricks, 98%. There's an idea. There's an idea. Fantasy and reality with the tricks with Mustang Ranch. Dad calls them pill pushers. Yeah, most of them are. You're going to see a very different world in the next 5 years with AI. You will literally, and I talked to, and I'm not getting on a tangent, but I talked to a pretty forward-thinking healthcare group with some very significant healthcare physicians, and you are going to go to a box, literally, like an old photo booth back in the 80s, remember, with your little 12-year-old girlfriend? You're going to go in a booth. They're going to measure you within seconds and tell you exactly what's wrong. There will be no doctor in that booth. That is how healthcare outside, and surgery will be performed robotically. I knew a hygienist neighbor that married a dentist, got an MRS degree at the university. She was hitting on me pretty hard because she married for money, messed up. Women love fantasy. We all know that women's fantasy is real. They want the man that is a fantasy. There is no, that's why 50 Shades of Grey is so popular. It tickles their fantasy. There's no man that a woman has in her mind that exists. Remember that. Good to see Mr. Wolf. Pete from the UK says, a man locking himself into marriage fantasy, a stressful career just to get validation and being in debt, just to please her, are on a highway to destruction. And that is exactly what I'm talking about here. The fantasy of you getting a better job, having an amazing high value career, lawyer, doctor, accountant, whatever, to provide a life. What is the result you're going after? You think all of that, or most men think all of that, is going to bring an amazing fantasy, an amazing wife, an amazing mother, an amazing family. And it could. I'm not saying it couldn't, but the reality is most of them break down. Male doctors are targets for the nasty nurses they work with. Well said. I warned a simp doc friend, these 304s are going to take you down. He married a 50-year-old trophy wife. Sure he did. Z's back in the fantasy. Rev's in the chat. Fantasy Island. The plane boss. That little guy died, didn't he? Thanks, Dak, for putting up Rev's channel. He does some good stuff as well. Healthcare idiocracy. It's not the world you live in. My doc friend that died in Mexico had a very unhappy marriage to a nurse, a couple kids. She was always unhappy. Oh, yeah. Most of them marry nurses and they get taken by nurses in divorce court, just like pilots and flight attendants. I'm carrying a hidden camera from now on, going to medical appointments at the VA. If you get a female, high risk for being disrespected, disregarded, and mocked by the biatch, lawsuit potential. Attaboy. It is what it is. Anthony, I have finally learned to be happy with very little. Attaboy. Better than fulfilling the demands of an unthankful woman who asks for more and more with time. And you can spend money for yourself. True. Women expect a blank check and the man is leveraged to sign it. Well said, Pete. Ran into this woman I know. She's married, texting me like crazy. I still don't be texting me or other guys. You think your husband would approve? They're out in the streets. You get a paper cut and in need of a Band-Aid, you're all set at the The VA attaboy. David Castro in the chat. Good to see you, brother. What's up to you? Thanks for tuning in. A lot of doctors off themselves from stress, workload, and hours. My family, longtime doctor, did. It's crazy how bad some want good money to achieve that fantasy that not always as it seems. I'm not saying don't be a doctor. I'm saying the reality versus the fantasy, well said, Denny, is a lot different. Okay, the fantasy of you in high school, man, doctor would be great. They're established, they're well respected, they make great money, they have a great life, they drive nice cars, they have great families. But the reality is, most don't ever achieve all of those things. They might achieve the Porsche, they might achieve the level. My brother is a cardiac anesthesiologist. He's like 2 steps higher than a cardiologist. He's God, right? But his life's not perfect. Oh, he drives the Porsche. He had the Panamera. I think he drives a Jaguar now. All of his kids are grown now. He's a year older than me. I've talked about him, but he's God. He's God. He's respected. He's respected. He's high up in the church. He's high up in his community. But the reality, I see it all day long. He's stressed as hell. Just his malpractice. My brother's malpractice insurance for a year, $500,000. Just for a year. Now, they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. We're talking over 7 figures. But the stress, okay? The stress. Luckily, his wife, she is the co-pilot. My sister is like that, but it is what it is. You could have all the things that the fantasy provides, but internally, emotionally, mentally, is that still the fantasy? There's a cost to everything. Choices bring consequences. Brad, what fantasy kept you in the Matrix? Well, great question. I was part of that fantasy. I believed that I could change my wife to becoming, the more money I made, the better things I did, the better father I became, she would love me even more. She would want to be around me even more. We would have a better marriage. Even going through the difficult times. And maybe I could convince her to withdraw the divorce petition. Believe in that fantasy. But like everybody, we have to understand we all go through it. Could it be programming? Could it be religion, culture, family, upbringing? And then the reality sets in. And a lot of people don't want to accept the reality. I have friends that have been married, and so have you guys, multiple times, or they've been married for 25, 30 years, and they get back into it. They think the new one is going to be that fantasy in their mind. I thought about being a doc, lots of school, but dealing with sick folks all the time, long hours, no thanks. Many I know are jealous that I got to build things. They envy me. It's funny, I would go to these dental and medical trade shows, and there'd always be someone there. There'd be a booth. Most of the booths were about electronics and heart machines and all this crap, Band-Aids, whatever. There'd always be a booth of this guy. He did tours, hunting tours. He did tours in the mountains, where you'd be a cowboy for a weekend or whatever. These physicians would flock to it. That guy was busier than a pet raccoon in a garbage can. I'm telling you, there were so many people that was at his booth, and he was right next to mine. I'm like, Howie, this is the best show ever. These doctors, they are hurting to get out of their practices. They signed up. Because I signed up. I'm busy for the next 2 years now. They gave me their credit card and everything. They're signed up for tours. So they were more interested in doing what they found more desirable in their life. Maybe going back to when they were 12 years old and wanted to play cowboys and Indians. Who knows? There you go. Well said. Well said, Trog. I'm not dealing with meat, blood, and bones. Nasty. I have no desire to do that. Nope. I've lined up 6 weeks for San Diego beachside this summer. My dog and Yeti cooler full of Coors Light coming El Pacifico, Timmy. Yeah, I mean, we've all been there, guys. Even fantasy, even the idea of what do I want to do when I grow up? Oh, I wanted to go in the FBI. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I passed all of the exams, and I was going to go back to Quantico for an interview with the top brass or whatever, the retired FBI guys. And I met my ex-wife, and I'm like, you know what? I should have done the FBI thing. I should have done it. But I had that fantasy of a happy marriage, a happy family, a white picket fence. And I figured, and then I fell back into sales. Go figure. Women told high-end hold high-end bags instead of babies and wonder why their life doesn't feel right. Well said, Bookshelf Learn, living in the fantasy. My sister's a doctor. Her husband walked out on her 3 weeks ago. Haven't spoken to her in 20 years. I think you mentioned your sister one time, Dak. He walked out on her. Interesting. I could probably see why. A lot of men think they can buy a successful marriage with money. They actually just buy a bigger divorce. Ooh, is that not gold, guys? What Pete said right there? They think they can buy a successful marriage. I thought that. But all we're doing is buying a bigger divorce. Damn, that's powerful. A lot of men think they can buy a successful marriage with money. They actually buy a bigger divorce. I worked with a master painter when I worked at an art museum. He said all the doctors came to him and wanted to learn to paint. They want to be out of the stress. See, it's the fantasy that they thought about being a doctor turned into reality of high bills because he's got to maintain a big time valuable household with cars and trips and everything, and the stress that comes with it. They're still part of the assembly line. Ladies switch up so much to the point of being an unreliable nightmare. Good to see X-Mask Pro. Being in a relationship with a woman is too much of a chore and a job. Being married to yourself, it is and should be the main priority for all men. Well said, Ghost Fen. I'm glad you are here as well. Manasseh is back. I want to be an actor. I'm just a garbage man. At least you don't have to deal with many people being a garbage man. As we get older, we don't want to be around many people. We want to be out hiking like Rev, right? It was crazy. It was 1995. Yeah. But I'm glad I didn't do it. I don't think I could have. I'm too out. I question authority. I'm a question authority guy. So I couldn't fall like that. I couldn't be a law enforcement or any of that stuff. The line of authority I would have a problem with. Attaboy, Wolf. Money gives you more choice. Of gold diggers, outcome is all the same. Yeah, I mean, men live in the fantasy of everything. The fantasy of being a father. Let's talk about that. If anyone's a father, I mean, it's wonderful when these kids are young and you can take them and they love you and they jump all over you and they give you big hugs and kisses. And then as they get older, they change. Hormones come into play. The culture, the environment, their friends' families, the sporting activities begin to mold them. You start to lose power over your kids or control. And then you have to pull away and you wonder why your kids are pulling away from you. And you thought when you had kids, oh, this would be great. I'll be the best father ever. I'm not saying you can't be a father. It's the reality of kids growing up. They begin to pull away. They begin to exercise their freedom or their free thinking from the programming. And so all men deal with that. And all we can do is sit back, be there, be silent. If they're off direction really bad, we course correct if we have to. We have tough love. But the whole fantasy of that little boy or that little girl that you brought into this world, that you loved going to daddy-daughter dances or taking your son on father and son's campouts, will eventually stop being that way. And so things change. And so, but the more we get caged in this fantasy and we see our 4-year-old boy as who that little boy was, instead of his 15-year-old self, we don't see reality and we struggle. That's another thing for you, Wolf. That's another fantasy I had to realize. Money gives you more choice. Well said, Trogue. Hammerhand is right. Live as a man with principle. Control your biology. Enjoy life. Why do men go into the professions they do? You know, it's funny. I see these excavators out there, you know, earth movers. And I think to myself, I wonder if they played with Tonka trucks and they were so in love with Tonka trucks that that's what they wanted to do. I bet there's several men like that out there. Think about when you were 11 and 12. Were you tinkering around with toys? Did you build model cars from Tammy's Hobbies? You know, with the glue, and you had to take them apart and put them together. And sometimes the glue, you had too much glue and it didn't look good, but you couldn't really get it off. I bet Dak did that. I bet Dak made tons of model cars and played with rockets, building shit. Buy them pearls, they want silver. Buy them silver, they want gold. Buy them gold, they never want. They want diamonds. The female ego is never satisfied. Well said, Mr. Timothy Sokol from San Pedro. Appreciate that comment. 1995, driving around listening to Bush, thinking about the FBE. It might be a much better career now, but with Pete in there. Pedro, good to see you, brother. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate all you guys spending some time this weekend listening to this 52-year-old speaking nonsense. Just like John Cena sold his soul to The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, most of these modern women still sell themselves for the thrill of the moment, for their unsatisfied emotions. Absolutely, Ghost. Hop in my Hyundai. It's a rental. I'm German porn star. Attaboy. Men don't wake up to the fantasy. They just come up against reality. Women never wake up, and society does everything to avoid reality touching them. Accountability and responsibility, and taking 100% responsibility is also waking up. You cannot make them happy. Always remember, says the patriarchal feminist. You can only make yourself happy. You can't even make your kids happy. I was making out with a date at a church she was caretaker for. She wanted to get to it in the pew, but Jesus was looking at me from the cross. That's funny. She had no shame in that pew, did she? That is funny, Drog. I can see that right there. Jesus was looking at you. You're like, oh, no part in this. I'm out. JC from Texas. A man's fantasy comes to him by the way of genetic hard wiring. Leaving the matrix occurs when one's intelligence overrides the hard wiring. Some succeed at this, many do not. Truth. Everything, if you could go back a time machine, would I get in a time machine? There are several times I would get in a time machine, but I wouldn't be here if I got in a time machine. But I would like to go in a time machine. Does that make sense? We have to go through what we need to get through to understand what the reality is versus the fantasy. Very few men understand that. I got two in here right now. Rev and Timmy Kramer. Never been married, never had kids. Timmy's uncle told him, don't get married. Was it Uncle Bill? I think it was Uncle Bill or Uncle Bob. Rev never got married, never had kids, was in the military. Most likely probably wanted to at points. But escaped that and now can see the reality with these men such as myself and many other that have been married and divorced and seen the shit show it is. They woke up to the reality very quickly, where many men will go back to the plantation. We have creators that have gone back and got married. Gregory the Red Pill Guru went back and got married. I think he's been married 1.5 years to a new gal. I hope it works for him. The reality is a lot different. It's still hard to sell to forego women for life as a man. I agree with that statement. And there's nothing wrong. Gerald said at the beginning, there is nothing wrong with the fantasy of wanting a happy family, a happy wife, a happy marriage. That is still a fantasy. The reality of that being true is extremely low. There's always an exception to the rule. Well said, Mysterio. Ladies ultimately only react to actions and options. Yeah, couldn't disagree with that. Women live in fantasy, most of them. 98% of them. They have a fantasy version of the man that they want. It's usually a Fonzie and a Richie all in one. Uncle Bill, I can't afford a divorce. That's right. I knew it was Uncle Bill. Fill one hand with BS, fill the other with wishes. See which fills faster. Attaboy. Well, you guys are laying it down to Chinatown today. I love it. Let's see, I'm 21 hours into my fast right now. I'm going to go 24. I think I'm going to go to the sauna, and then I'm going to swim some laps and go in the hot tub and just spend a nice day. The weather sucks ass here. It's flurrying. It's 40 degrees. I got to get out. I got to sweat. Sweat all this fantasy out. Get to the sauna. Sweat that fantasy out. People still get back on dating apps. I love getting on dating apps to see all the wackos. It's entertainment for me. It's better than watching a movie. Although I did watch a movie last night. I watched Crazy Heart with Jeff Bridges. I watched it again. Great movie. Lots of red pill stuff in it. Guy goes back to the plantation, thinks this single mother is going to be the love of his life. I told my nephews not to get married. They didn't listen. They are still young. My buddy who went through a divorce and he remarried, he was a little RP for a while. His daughter is 28, 1-year-old kid going through a divorce. Her daughter, his daughter hung out with my daughter back when they were 6 and 7 years old. She's going through divorce, 28 years old now. Slam, back in the channel. Less being the fantasy, reality being monkey branching. Well said, Slam. Good to see you, brother. I made many bad investments in my life, but marriage was the 25-year worst investment. I struggle, Pedro, with that. Did I make a bad investment? What did I learn from it? Would I do it again? No, but I went through it. I learned a lot of things going through that marriage and divorce. And a lot of us look at it as a terrible investment we made. We lost a lot. We might have gained. The only way I look at the marriage was it was a good teacher. It wasn't, I had a terrible teacher in high school, but I learned from him. And that's what I look at it now. But I can definitely appreciate that thought you have. If wishes were horses, beggars would ride. Rad, can you exercise and ride your bike yes. If I'm doing a dry hard fast, no. But if I have water and some salt, yes. I've had some of my best rides on a fasted 36-hour stomach. But I think that would be the sweet spot. I think fasting between 24 and 30, if I'm on a mountain bike, I think it's great. I've got a lot of energy. The energy that my digestion would be doing is now gone to my respiratory system. I got, deeper breathing, my nervous system and so forth. But not a great question. Dating apps have the lowest quality of women. I just go on for the sheer entertainment if you really want to do it. And look at all the women that have been there for 9 years. They're still there. Wolf, yes, they all do. Mine would always say, I'm not feeling emotionally connected to you. I don't feel well. I have cramps. There's Slam's channel. Thanks, Dak, for putting it up, Mr. Wrench. Sam Fisher is in the house. Good to see you, Sam. Hope you are well. I got your story. I'm just trying to figure out when I will present that. The women I was with got involved in my business dealings. Every one of them cost me a lot of money, not just to mention the direct costs of asset division. Be very vigilant and understand the reality of life. I always like to say to him, I got a really good friend, and he is such a simp. And I tell him I'm a realist. I don't believe in hope. I'm a realist. I see the logic and the data within the decision if I make. For the most part. Now, do I make stupid mistakes sometimes? Absolutely. But for the most part, when it comes to where my direction is leading, I try to use logic and data from either my past experiences or experiences from others, or just understanding the programming. I do my best thinking at 70 miles per hour on the bobber. Ooh, be careful out there, but I do love bobbers. Bobbers are cool. The Indian Scout 60 is a cool bobber. I'm not happy. Honey-do list. Mine never had one. I would never allow her to have one. Forgive me, good one. Good thing. I always had the upper hand in it when it came to direction. She had the upper hand when it came to intimacy. Don't let them see the inside of your house. Yeah, we'll figure something out, Sam. Ladies are a huge distraction, and she requires too much attention. Scottsdale women my age are desperate to find her next Mr. Resource Provider. Keep in mind, she doesn't even cook. She can make pasta. I bet she can make ramen. Rad, where can I get some hopium? Gregory's channel. Closest I came to that was the ex in New Mexico. She wanted to call her daddy to ship me back home every time I didn't listen to her. What a biatch. Go back to every single person that did you wrong. Did you learn something from them? And it could be yes or no. Could be yes or no. Dax says the beaver is your worst enemy. They'll cut down all your trees. That's not wrong as an analogy or as the truth. Be careful what box you open up, right? My Amazon tent doesn't keep rain out. You're going to need a nice rain fly. I don't think there's any tent that keeps rain out. I was a Boy Scout. They always got rained. Never been married nor planned. There's another one. Wolf. There you go. Big Outlaws in the chat. Good to see you, brother. Check out Outlaws stream. I was on it last night. Did I say something? Can't remember. Gregory's your bro. You get hopium from Greg. Looking at women in the real world is like looking at unwanted spam, annoying and not desired like they used to be. I'm not a woman hater, just making. Well, you're looking at the data. That's all you're doing. There's Outlaw's channel. Appreciate that. Gone with John is in the chat. Good to see you, brother. John making cash money. Cash money with this business. Check out John's business channel. He went to Jared. Akash, good to see you, brother. Timmy, I met this woman and she had no food in the house and nothing in the refrigerator except lemons. She would eat so sparingly. How do some of these women live? A lot of them don't eat. They just drink wine and vape. MGTOW barbarian metalhead with a cave harem of hoes. Attaboy. There's Mr. Gone with John's channel. Appreciate that. We got great creators. We got good content. This is 9 years ago, 10 years ago when I started stumbling across Barbarossa and Proteus and all these guys. There was not a lot of live streams. I think, if anything, there was live streams just with a lot of, people getting together. Hammerhand went on Terrence Pops a while back. There's live stream. There was always just like co-mingling live streams. But now there's live streams literally 2-3 times a day where men can come and just explore. Now, a lot of us hit the same ones, which is fine, but it's a community. It's like the Elks Club. The Grand Poobah. I can tell when I'm out that the women that are there on first dates and ordering tons of food. Oh, absolutely. A lot of women don't have a lot of money, so they're going on dates to get fed. That's part of the equation too, right? I caught John's last part this morning, or part of it. That John's doing lots of streams. Outlaw's doing lots of streams. Dak hasn't done a stream for a while. 90% of my dates turned out to be foodie dates. F that. A lot of them like the foodie calls, guys. It's happened to Brad. Happened to Rad in 2016. She's still single too. Saw her on the dating app again. Still looking for food. She's like a dog. Always looking for food. I wish there was a way to check her empty bank account. Attaboy. I'm actively listening, going through paperwork, says Who. Good to see you, Who. There you go. Timmy, any gorditas in Scottsdale? Rev wants a refrigerator. She wider than she tall. When I found the RP, I wanted to tell other men to wake them up. I realized it was all a waste of time. You can't help NPC males. Well said. I just listened to them at work complaining. Good to see Blaster back in the chat. Yeah, you can't talk to most of these guys. They have to go through it. Just like we did. We're the smarter ones. We actually digested it and pooped it out. Most people will put that red pill on their tongue, but they won't digest it. I'm getting more smiles in the neighborhood from biatches. I walk my lady's friend's dog a lot. Well, they're getting desperate. They want Wolf Schlong. There was that chick in New York City that was dating just to get free meals, no intention of relationship. She was proud of it. And most guys, again, they're in the fantasy. I can change her. I can change her. Didn't the Academy Award this year about that stripper chick that married the son of an oligarch? Right? He can change her. It's classic Richard Gere, Pretty Woman. Again, still living in fantasy. I'll be the one that changes her. She'll like me. I bet there's guys out in New York City thinking that. Once they match with her, they're going to be able to change her. Greetings to the free men off the plantation. Attaboy. Mr. Sammy, good to see you. From Nicaragua to Chicago. See, I know where you cats live. Rev's looking for a mini fridge. You know where you find a lot of gorditas? Guatemala. Interesting and awesome how we men can see and observe female nature. Observe it, but not understand it. We are still learning about female nature, and female nature still is like trying to figure out what's in the ocean. We might see what's in the first 10 feet, but we don't understand what's 4 miles deep. Once you don't give a shit, they want your attention. Scottsdale is everything and everything you'd want for a price, of course. The miserable Botox fate, frozen faces, boring places. My best friend says this topic is a gov psyop. Of course. Yeah. They do think that. Every man withholding their non-sexual attention is her ultimate final fantasy nightmare. If you can withhold sexual attention from a woman, she goes nuts. Don't try to save them. They don't want to be saved. Is that not the truth? Is that not the truth? Most of the men are simps. Well said, Sam. Most of the men are simping. They think that the nicer they are, the more money they make, the better career they have, the more six packs that are on their body, the more women will love them. Or rather play my PS4 than play with these 304s. I like that. At least you don't catch feelings or STDs. The video game will never talk back to you. And if you get mad at it, just turn it off. Ed, getting out of work in a few, then continue with my awesome, quiet, and satisfying life in 2025 without any snakes in my cave. Attaboy. Good to see Ed. Bardem said there's one sucker born every minute. He wasn't wrong. What's your favorite place of peace, Rad? The mountains in Mexico. Or a beach. The Colombian beaches were great. The lake in Guatemala was great. The Venezuelan beaches were great. Mexico. Yeah, usually the mountains. Riding my bike, skateboarding. Doing the things I like to do. Thinking you can control a woman is a fool's paradise. Enjoy your turn if it comes. And remember, no marriage, no cohabitation, no kids. You control that, don't you, Sam? JC says, out of the matrix equals not hosting parasites. Just even understanding which way you want to go in life. There's a fantasy and a reality. Most men are out there trying to acquire the biggest and baddest F-150. Now, if they're pulling a snowmobile or motorcycle, that's a different story, but most of them know they want to attract a woman's attention. A big house. There's no reason to have a big house. Why do you need a big house? It's to show off. It's an ego, unless you got 20 kids. Other than that, you don't need a big house. Most people in their big houses live in 1/4, if not 1/5 of it. But we believe the fantasy. Or we did. New term for bad women, snake women. Eve's curse. Adam was the first Gump. Guess who instructed Eve? The devil. And the devil said, give this to Adam to eat. And he ate. He simped. If you believe in the biblical story. I think, Blaster, I'm going to go to the sauna today. I think I'm going to go to the sauna. It might in the afternoon wear off a little. Maybe I'll go for a walk or something. I worked out yesterday pretty hard. So my muscles are resting, and I'm going to do the sauna. I'm going to swim a couple. I love swimming after the sauna. I like to stretch I love doing backstrokes and back glides. Just to stretch your body out. It's great. It's great for your skeleton, especially as you get older and we sit more and our muscles freeze up more. Swimming is a wonderful activity. I don't do it for workout. I do it for stretch and to make those muscles get long. Good. You take care of it. It'll take care of you, right, Sam? Red Dead Redemption, Fallout 4. Okay, that's a game. You guys, I don't even know how to turn on an Xbox. I can play Pac-Man, though, and Super Mario Brothers. My fave pea spot is a river in Connecticut, very rustic and wild. I trout fish there. Another reason I like the water, and you might like this too, Mr. Wolf, is the water has the potential, the ions can extract negativity out of people. I don't know if you knew that, but water has a very almost invisible healing effect. Read about it. I noticed the gym that guys are just doing their workout, not trying to hit on chicks, despite the women putting themselves in front of the guys. They don't want problems. No, they're realizing there's a few very attractive. There's a brunette at my gym. I don't stare at her. Every time I do dips, and she's always by my dip machine. I don't even know if she's there. All of a sudden, she's there. Very attractive, probably 42, still has a good body. Well, I don't know what's underneath that, but she still looks good. And she has a new outfit every mother effing day. I see her. Literally, this woman's got $10,000 in yoga pants, minimum. And she wears the Lululemon. It's just crazy. And they do these weird exercises for their butt and just the weirdest. I do 4 exercises. Squats, typically air squats. I do a lot of those. And my legs also biking. And I do dips, lats or pull-ups, and rows and farmer carries. I don't do any bicep. Oh, I do shoulder presses at home. That's it. And crunches. 6 or 7 exercises. I'm done. I'm in and out in 30 minutes. These people are there all effing day. What's the future of men going forward? Well, hopefully more men wake up and realize the potential of danger when it comes to the opposite sex, the reality. We don't know, Mysterio. We'll have to see. I had a lady try to tell me to get rid of my CD collection. Kick rocks. No, I never did that. My ex-wife never did that. She actually bought tickets to my favorite bands for my birthday, and she went with me. Go figure. But there are women that are like that. There are women that'll say, Dak, you got to sell your tractor. You can't go ice fishing. Wolf, you can't skateboard. Slam, you can't go and play death metal. You know, Dak, the yoga pants syndrome, well said. I'm telling you, this gal's got that. Yeah. And she doesn't have a ring on her finger. What are they doing on the plantation today? Chores for their partner. Or they're going to the department store to walk around. Again, women are like cars. The body may be good, but check the mileage. Well said. Yeah, those yoga pants. You know, the reason that guy made Lululemon was literally to hide the imperfections of women's bodies as they, whatever. Mr. Polska back in the chat. Where's Bob been? Bob, have you gone back to the plantation? Good to see our brother Bob in Chicago, referencing the dead milkmen for 300 Trebek. I'm sure she did, Sam. My dad gave me 2 rifles, Dak and Sam. Let me ask you what it's one's a 1897 32 Winchester original. How much is it worth? And the other one is a. Oh, damn it! What's the other one? Shotgun. It's 1897 Winchester 32 Special from 1897. My dad was a gun dealer. I wonder how much it's worth. Not that I'm going to sell it, but I'm just curious. Almost mint condition with serial number and everything. My current lady does not criticize any of my interests. First time in my life. Yet. Remember that. The word is yet. My ex kept my pistol, grip shot. I kept the trigger, blah, blah, blah. Dak, women are like a nitro motor on his boat. Good for a 3-second ride. Not going to disagree with that. Not going to disagree with that. The yoga pants are the paint job on the old taxi. Attaboy. Polska's been adulting. He's been delivering flowers for all the simps that want a second chance. Polska, what you eating today? You know, I've seen a lot of these RC trucks. There's a guy that I hiked this canyon up to a waterfall. Rev and I hiked it. And there's a guy that runs this RC, this really cool RC. It's like a SUV thing, and he drives it up the trail. Looks like he's having a hell of a time. I thought about getting one. That might be fun. And I met a guy one time in a bar, and he was a professional radio controlled driver. Apparently he shows up all over the United States at different, RC events, and he races. He's like a professional. It's the weirdest thing. Pizza and beer for 300 Trebek. The modern woman is like the illegal immigrant living in the country, ungrateful and accept to entitlement from men everywhere. What a bunch of ungratefuls. There's none, the majority are. The majority are. It's a 98%, might be 99% at this point. Attaboy. Attaboy, Sammy. Yeah, I can see it being super fun and peaceful too. I'd be driving that mofo all around rocks and water and everything. Who says those yoga pants are Bondo for their body and their booty? Sure. Sure. And they got sloppy yogurt when they take them off, right? Bob, we getting that cracker thin crust today. Pizza does sound good. I was watching Crispy Pizza last night at New York. I'm fasting, so I watch fasting videos and I watch like recipe video. Oh, here's another thing I want to do today. I'm going to make bread in the Dutch oven. I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to make rustic bread in a Dutch oven. I have a Dutch oven and I saw a couple ways to make it. Apparently you need 3 ingredients, and then I'll put some nice, expensive Irish butter on it, and we'll see how it turns out. Benelli is more for outdoors when they try to get away. There's a weird cloud today, cloud cover today. It's almost like there's a wild. Yeah, we got weird clouds here, but we got some storm that came in. Dak says RC car rocks, got 3 nitro and 3 brushless. Interesting. I would see that Dak would be into that. How much? You can spend a lot of money on those things, can't you? Yoga pants are a fish. That's funny, Trog. Rad, ever have a girl beg you back because you gave her? Yes. Yes. A couple of them. Actually, all women will come back eventually. The majority of them. That plan B won't work out. And it's satisfying in the sense that, you just see female nature back in action. I like cracker crust. And Paul Scott, dude, if I get pizza later tonight, pepperoni and pineapple all the way, brother. I know I will give you a piece. I will send it on dry ice to Chicago. Pepperoni and pizza from the Pie Pizzeria and pineapple. Yes, I think I got yes. I do have an old Dutch oven that's been wonderful, and so I've got to do that. Well said. But I'm gonna try and make bread today. A little later in the evening. We'll see how it turns out. I get 2 to 3 hours for it to rise up, and see how it goes. Maybe I'll do a video on it. JC says nationwide reciprocity is in the works for long distance hole punchers. There you go. If you can't go out and break your toys a little piece once in a while, stay home and do knitting. There you go. Char's in the chat. Good to see Char. Not going to go with that, Wolf. Trug says, I make pizza from scratch, built a friend a wood-burning oven, building my own soon. You know who else makes pizza from scratch? It's Chris Mitchell, the Emperor. I haven't seen that guy for a while. Where's he been, Dak? I see a couple of posts he makes, but I haven't seen him really for quite some time. I've had chicks contact me years later, regretting breaking app. Satisfying vindication. Well said, Rev. I used to have a cowboy grill with a Dutch oven, and they stick, especially I have a cast iron, a black one. So, yeah, I'll do that. Apparently, I have to heat the cast iron for 30 to 40 minutes, empty, and then put it in, and then cook the dough for another 30 minutes. Mr. John Boston making pizza from scratch. Man, I got a pizza itch now. Every time I fast, somehow these pizza shorts get on my tail, and I just want to eat pizza. He's raising chickens now. Good for him, man. Boy, I just bought I bought eggs yesterday. I go through maybe a dozen of eggs every 10 days, and it was $6.49, and I got the brown ones. And the white ones were $5.99. I'm like, I'll spend an extra 50 cents. So it's basically what, 50 cents an egg now? 55 cents an egg? It used to be 15 cents an egg. But man, if you got to use a lot of eggs in your life, you just added quite a bit of money to your shopping list. Wanting to give away your power for a woman's validation is the programming keeping you from the true call of the wild. Yeah. The men still believe the nicer they are, the more money they make, the happier they can make a woman, the better the fantasy. We know that it's not true. Richie Cunningham tried that. Doesn't work. Relationships have expiration dates. She is expired, but the moment you like her, she is done. Baby, I'm a bum. What'd you want from me? Charles Bukowski. I get video recommendations from this woman, Pearl, and now this older one, Erica Angelo. Erica is in her 40s. They must be targeting the RP and men's channels. Oh, you know who else I was watching last night, John? That Schwarzenegger gal. She's got the dark black hair. I think she's Iranian or something. And she's like 60. She's not bad looking for 64, but she talks a lot about dating and red pill and stuff. I think she quoted Greg Adams too. They always come back, don't they, Wolf, if you do that. All I ever wanted was a very attractive woman with no problems. Boy, was I wrong. Can't even have something fun and simple without drama. I think most of us thought that, Ghost. JC, was at a rock concert recently. Going through security, had to throw my keychain pocket knife in the trash. Jeez. The pen was more of a weapon. What show did you go to? It's really going to be no eggs. Just buy 2 chicks and get 2 eggs a day. Up here in Canadistan at Costco, I pay about $4 Canadian for a dozen. Damn. Timothy says monk mode for the win. He knows. Charles Bukowski is a great author. Dak says we ain't sharing our eggs. We don't want her eggs either, do we? Look what John Wick did with a pencil. It all started because someone killed his dog. Even old ladies still act immature. Sure. Sure. Charles Bukowski. Oh, you're the woman who was married, and then she said she was an escort. Damn, she's got a lot of wrinkles. Yes. Yes. I was somehow it popped up in my feed, so I was listening to her, and she was saying, "Why? Where did all the good men and women go?" And every now and again, I like to hear their perspectives. But yeah, make egg prices great again for 300, Trebek. Just eat the right eggs, right? Yeah, but I like an egg. What I've been doing lately I've been buying some ramen, some of the Korean shin. What is it? Nong shim. And I know it's got preservative. I know it's got carbs, but every now and again it tastes really good. And I scramble an egg and put it in there. And it's not too bad for 360 calories for a little ramen. But I don't do the top ramen. I buy actually the bowls that cost like $3. It's still full of preservatives and artificial foods, but who cares? He wrote the novel Women. He knew women. He sure did. Make Scottsdale great again. Timmy's trying to make that happen. He used the wonderful word whores quite often in his writing. Rod Stewart, damn. How many old ladies were watching the crooner Rod Stewart? He was great in Small Faces. That when he was Maude back in the day. But now, man, he was smart to get out of Maude and just sing to the ladies. Did he play any Small Faces stuff, his old stuff? Gerald says, eggs are out of my budget now. You know what? They're expensive as hell, Gerald. You're absolutely right. JC, how many women had the saggy boobs, had the wet tube socks hanging down. Oh, I would have gone to Rod Stewart just to people watch, just to see the old prunes, as Tom Likas would call them. Still living in the fantasy. 65-year-old women still living in the fantasy. Yeah, Jeff Beck. Who else was in the was it the Faces or Small Faces? Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton. Wasn't Clapton in Small Faces? 60s had a cool look. They had that cool mod thing going on. Most of men's problem comes from his inability to sit quietly in a room. Most of females' problems comes from their inability to sit quietly in their own skin. That's true gold right there, One Mighty and Strong. Good to have you back, brother. Hope you are well. That is absolute truth. Fried eggs nailed to the wall type. There you go. Ever read Schopenhauer on women? I haven't. Always see only what is nearest to them. Cling to the present. Take the appearance of things for reality and prefer trivialities to the most important affairs. A lot of women are solipsistic. Solipsism. Go study that. I bet he takes part of that from the solipsistic view of the world. My oldie's an old 304. There you go. Brandon Trueblood back. Good to see you, brother. Mr. BT, I was on your chat yesterday, listening in while I was working. Good to see Mr. Trueblood. Small Faces said Steve Marriott. There you go. Ghost says the good traditional women don't exist, only in fantasy. Most women are too delusional to even consider dating and make a family with. Programming and birth control. Birth control pills has rewired women. If you go back, if you really look at it, when did the birth control pill come out? Was it in the 40s or 50s? When did it become really adapted? Probably late 60s, early 70s. When did divorce come about? When did the Skittles movement get bigger and bigger? That birth control, they show it turns women Skittles. Attaboy, Small Faces, good stuff. Stewart gets the old bags and Swift gets the little bimbos, but the bags got more cash. Attaboy. Rachel Hunter was good looking. But didn't she marry? Who did she go and marry? Is she still married to him? I'm glad to hear you're doing much better, brother. Hope all is well. Give us some more advice from your perspective. The fantasy is real for most men, but it's not for us. The reality is real. Yes, it does. Birth control makes men or women not only attracted to other women, but it makes them want effeminate men. It destroys them. The birth control pill has destroyed the modern woman, more so than feminism, I think. Well, let's just say it went hand in hand. And single mothers, yes. Yes, sure. Yes, sir, Bob, Dak. Well, it tricks them, right? Well said. Absolutely. Best thing, and now look, if someone needs head meds and it's clinically diagnosed to need head meds, I get that. But for the most people go on to escape. They can't deal with their own accountability in life, and so they want it out. And they go on these pills. Oh, it'll make your life better. No, it doesn't do anything. It just puts you in a different room in the matrix. That's all it does. It doesn't change anything. Learn to sit with your silence. Learn to sit with your anger and your fear and your depression. It'll pass. Best thing a man can do if he's lonely is to build something. Go buy a $200 Lego set and do that. Tear apart a bicycle and re-lube it up, retune it. Fix your car, fix the shit in your house that needs repair. I had to fix this. I had a little bit of settling in this house, and I put it off for so long because I didn't want to get up on the ladder and do it. But I did it. I scrubbed it off with a little razor. Bondoed it, put some spackle, did some things, let it dry, sanded it down, redid it, and I'm like, man, I did it. I finally did, and I felt productive. Took about 2 hours of my time, some paint, and I fixed it. So when this house is bought, I don't have to deal with it. Classy women is attractive, right? Absolutely. A feminine, classy woman that's respectful. Rad, Kathy Ireland, or Cindy Crawford late? Cindy Crawford all the way. Cindy Crawford. Joseph Hoffman in the chat. Good to see you. Single mothers made a bad decision, right? Right, Rev? Don't take head meds, fast, eat carnivore, go out in the woods. Well said. Again, if you're not clinically needing them, and there are cases where clinically you need them, so go talk to a doctor. We're not doctors giving advice. But I think the best form of not feeling lonely or not feeling depressed, because they go hand in hand, is to do something with yourself. Out in the woods, play a guitar, learn an instrument, learn a language, build Legos. You know how many guys build Legos in their 40s and 50s and 60s? Like, it's a huge market. I used to like building Legos back in the day. You know, whatever. Build something. Build a bird's nest. You know, go learn how to build a piece of furniture. It was all good in the 80s, Dak. Well said. April, Bowl Boy from 2.5 Men. Okay. Listening while at work, I'll watch the playback. Good to see Big Vegas back in the chat. Good to see you, brother. We should all be do a drunken MGTOW album. Well, Donnie Baker, you know, he was the lead singer of the Pork Pistols. That could be a cool album for the Pork Pistols, the Penetrated Poons. Yeah, I mean, I tell you, there's certain things that I don't do anymore. Like, I won't go back to Hawaii because of the ex. Not the fact that I don't like Hawaii, it's just too many memories. So I go to other places, new places where I can build my own memories, experiences. Remember, the past is just a memory. It doesn't exist. The future is an illusion. Future doesn't exist either. That's all we got is right now, right this moment, right this second. You were lonely yesterday. Or men were lonely yesterday. Are they lonely right now? Really think about reality in the sense that we only have this literal moment. The future does not exist. The past does not exist. Unless you want to go quantum physics, where the past, the future, and the present are all happening at once. Learn to play guitar or bass. I play guitar. I played about 25 songs within the last 2 nights. Played some Smoking Popes. I played a little country. I played some Smith, some Colt, some Third Eye Blind. Build a little birdhouse in your soul. It's a great song. Good to be here. I had a conversation with my wife about her mom taking head meds and being delusional, unaware, and unaccountable. That's what it does. A lot of people, even men, won't take accountability, but even on head meds, they take even less accountability. Go figure. Hawaii, probably because we honeymooned there. We took the kids there. It's hard for me to go back to Oregon sometimes because those are my old stomping grounds. But I spend my time with places that I loved going as a youth, so I kind of dwarfs that. JR, good to see you in the chat, brother. Hope you are well. Scully from X, you know what? She is hot. You know who's dating Scully right now? Ben Affleck is with Gillian Anderson. Isn't she Canadian? I go to Courtify. Yep, Courtify is great. I love playing along with songs. She said you were too harsh. Well, she sounds a little wacky, Joseph. Rad's maple fretboard on his Strat gives him a brighter, richer tone than rosewood. Yes. I gotta get it. I gotta take it to have it cleaned up. I want to have someone do a little reconditioning. I played the hell out of that thing. That thing's 29 years old this year. I've had it redone a few times. They've done the frets. One of my bars broke. The top one, the plastic one. I gotta get that fixed. But appreciate that, X Mask. I love those bands, Rad. Attaboy. I play Puddle of Mud. I can play lots of stuff. How can I like New Mexico again, Rad, after my ex ruined it for me? Go to places in it that you don't know, that you've never been. Walking through life, ignoring all these illusions, modern women feels great, and not giving my power away like it. Well, you are the pilot of your life. You are the pilot of your life, brother, and that's why you like it. You're not giving that power to another pilot. Gillian Anderson is a Brit. Oh, okay. Boy, she was hot. There's something about her. Her and Tia Leone, Julianne Moore. Even Nicole Kidman did it for me a little bit. Days of Thunder. I mean, come on. Anyhow, guys, this has been a great chat with you all. Remember, the fantasy is real for the majority of men. They just don't understand it. The reality is real for us and those that have been through it. Even what you do, the government is a fantasy. It's not taking care of you, and people believe it will. Religion will bring you peace. It might. That's more of a fantasy thinking. An education or a degree maybe will present a fantasy, but in the end, it's just reality of life. Live in the reality. Your life will be much less stressful. February 28th, played from a porch to an outdoor crowd of 2,000, amplified only by your tiny black star. Didn't that work great, Gerald? Glad you got one, brother. We'll be out. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for everyone being here. Thanks, Dak, for all your help wrenching, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.